Welcome to Ask the Expert North Texas here on News Radio 1080 KRLD. I'm David Rancken.
And I'm Kristen Diaz, and joining us here on the KRLD Afternoon news today is Alison Ravenscraft. She is an expert insect researcher, meaning she loves bugs. And she is an assistant professor of biology at UTA. Thanks so much for joining us today.
It's a pleasure to be here.
Okay, so there's been a lot of rumblings about this big event coming soon. I've been seeing all these different media outlets. They've been talking about it. So we had to come to the expert, to you, to come talk about this huge cicada event. Is it really true that all of these cicadas are going to hatch out of the ground all at the same time, and we're just going to see an invasion of these bugs?
So yes, and also no. So yes. So there are two broods of cicadas that are going to emerge simultaneously across the Midwest and the South. And so there are going to be across the United States trillions and trillions of cicadas. The tricky part is that these two broods are going to emerge in different areas. So the real fascinating, impressive phenomenon is that if you go drive north to south or east to west, the total coverage of these cicadas is just going to be massive. But the densities will be as impressive as they always are at a given location. So there are going to be massive numbers of cicadas, but at any given location, it'll be no more massive than usual.
I'm seeing in some reports that there are 3 states, Iowa, Illinois, Indiana, which are going to see both broods at the same time. And that would just, double the population that those states are going to have to deal with?
Yeah. In the given states, that they'll have potentially twice. It really depends on the geographic spread of the broods in each state. But at a given location, the cicada broods actually avoid each other remarkably well. So it's just like the spread of them is going to be insane. So, if you're in Illinois and you call your neighbor who's a county away, they'll also be complaining that their dog is eating cicadas. And if you call your grandparents 2 counties away, they're also going to be complaining that they're sweeping cicadas off of their porches.
Oh boy. And you said this is a once in a lifetime type of deal, right? This doesn't happen very often.
This is more than once in a lifetime. So this only happens once every 221 years.
Wow.
So this is far rarer than Halley's Comet. The last time this happened was the year of the Louisiana Purchase. And it's not going to happen again until 2245.
Wow.
So these 2 broods of cicadas, they're on, one of them is on a 13-year cycle, so they emerge every 13 years, and one of them is on a 17-year cycle, and they emerge every 17 years. And so they won't meet each other again for another 221 years.
Taking a look at the map, and I see Oklahoma and Louisiana and Arkansas are all on the map. Texas is not. Does that mean we're just going to be cicada adjacent?
We are cicada adjacent. So you may either be really happy or really disappointed to learn that you're going to have to drive a little bit to experience this. And if you're a bug nerd like me, it's really tempting to drive to see this event that's only going to happen once in 221 years.
Wow. No, you mentioned something. Your dog might eat this. What kinds of things do we need to know about cicadas? Some people here, born and raised in the South, and they hear them in the trees. They see their shelves. They know. Some people have never really experienced them at all. So what are some facts about them?
Let's see. Okay, some facts. So there are a whole bunch of different species of cicada. So globally, there are 3,000 species. So we see cicadas every year, but they are not these periodical cicadas. We don't see these periodical ones every year. So these are going to be really beautiful black-bodied insects that kind of look like an overgrown housefly, but their wings have these beautiful gold veins and they have bright red eyes. And so they're harmless. They cannot bite. They cannot sting. They can make a loud noise. That's basically, if you held it up to your ear really, really long time, maybe you could get some hearing damage. That's about it. But they can be a nuisance. They emerge in large densities. They die. They coat your patio. Dogs like to eat them, which many people think is kind of gross. So they are kind of they can be considered a nuisance, but hopefully the fact that this is such a rare and cool event can maybe partially offset how annoying it is for a few weeks in the summer.
It is. It can be annoying. I've heard some of these cicadas when I used to live in that area. The question is, are they spreading? Because will Texas eventually see some of these particular broods, or do we have enough of our own?
Oh, that's a really good question. I don't know of any evidence that they are spreading, there is a big question about what's going to happen to their cycles with climate change. So as the seasons, as spring progresses to be earlier and earlier, the cicadas are going to start emerging earlier and earlier, and they may actually get confused and start emerging off of those 13 and 17-year cycles. So like over time, they could spread a little bit, but they seem to stay put. So I think we're probably mostly stuck, at least in the short term, with our current cicada species that we've got in Texas.
Do cicadas migrate? Do they fly for long distances, or
no, they
nothing to worry about?
They don't move too far. I mean, they're pretty strong short range flyers, but they don't tend to move too far. And their adult lifespan is only, I think it's about 4 weeks. Maybe 6. And so their adult lifespan is just so small compared to the 13 to 17 years that they spend underground as nymphs.
I was curious, does anything attract them? Like, will we see like, certain types of birds or certain types of like maybe snakes that are going to be like, yeah, this is what I've been wanting?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. When they emerge. Absolutely. When they emerge, they are a free-for-all buffet for a whole bunch of different things, including snakes. I saw a fact somewhere that copperheads will travel, like up to a mile to find a cicada aggregation to just chow down. Birds are chowing down. Obviously, again, like our pets, cats and dogs will chow down. So this is like a free-for-all buffet that happens, periodically, right? Every so often, 13 or 17-year cycles. And that resource pulse is also really beneficial, it looks like, for like forest plants and aquatic systems, because as those cicadas fall to the ground and die, they release a bunch of nutrients into the soil as well.
I was just going to ask you, what good are cicadas? Because we know, for example, mosquitoes are good for nothing, really. But
wait, some mosquitoes actually pollinate flowers. So there's a fun fact.
Yeah.
But so cicadas. I hate mosquitoes too when they bite me, but they can, and they're food for a whole bunch of beneficial animals as well. But yeah, cicadas similarly are food for the entire ecosystem when they're present. And they do, again, carry resources widely across forest ecosystems. They are actually somewhat limited to forests. So if you're in sort of a really grassy area, you're unlikely to see them. But yeah, they spread resources and nutrients around. They're food for a short period of time, and they also produce the characteristic sound of summer. So, maybe they're a nice sort of reminder of your childhood summer days.
I love that. I do have another question. Just, they're in the ground for so long. Are they just dormant, or are they alive underneath the ground?
Yeah, they're growing just very slowly. And so they feed on the sap and plant roots. So they just sort of hang out, they attach themselves to the root system of a tree, and they just grow very, very slowly. We think that they are we're not sure, but we think that they're counting the years based on the annual flow of sugary sap down to the tree's roots at the start of the spring.
Wow.
There's no real danger associated with the cicadas at all.
No, they don't bite. They don't sting. They're not known to carry any diseases. Some populations, at least historically, used them as a source of food when they were present.
Wow. So they're just scary looking. They're shells.
They're scary looking or beautiful. If you can get past the initial creepo factor, right? Because we all have that initial creep out factor to bugs. But when you get past it and look at them, I think they're actually gorgeous, especially those beautiful wings with their beautiful veins. So if you can stand to be around close enough to them to take a look, I think they're actually very pretty.
Yeah, I think the bugs are cool. It's the shells that freak me out.
Oh, yeah. Like little aliens.
Yeah. I'm like, well, what are you supposed to do with this? Well, this was just so fascinating. We really appreciate your time with us here on the KRLD Afternoon News. We know that this is a very exciting time. I mean, what a time to be alive. All the things that we've been experiencing these past couple of years. I feel like everyone's been saying, oh, this only happens once in a lifetime or every 100 years. And now you're saying every 200 years. I'm like, oh, boy.
Got to do something with a solar eclipse, too.
Oh, yeah. It's too bad they're not coming out. It'll be the eclipse is a little too early for them, I think. That's too bad. It would be great if it happened at the same time.
It's so wild, but we really appreciate your time. Thank you so much. That is Alison Ravenscraft here on the KRLD Afternoon News.
Thank you.